Good evening, it's the 21st July and the market's just closed, and I'm going to go through my trades today on my trade recap. On my screen at the moment is the MES. I'll just open up the 60-minute chart just to recap my levels from this morning. So this morning I had on watch this weekly area, and also I was watching 46, 45, 65 area. These are my, and obviously I was keeping an eye on this area as well, which is 45.92. So I was looking for a rejection at that level or a break and retest long there. On the weekly, I'm not sure if I mentioned it, I think I may have forgotten, but I was keeping an eye on the weekly. That was going to be a rejection area or possibly a break and retest long. And then I had this area here, 45, 65 area, and that was going to be a bounce, unless obviously we saw a weak market. It would have been a break and retest. So I'm going to move over onto the 5-minute chart now and go through the trades. So I took 4 trades today. My first trade was in the pre-market. It was exactly there. That was about 6:30 Eastern time. Because obviously I'm in the UK, I've got a bit more time on my hands, so I was up a bit earlier and I could see, I was watching this, putting in this uptrend, and I've always been aware of this area of supply. If we quickly zoom out, let's look at the arrow again. That area of supply is this area I've defined here, and it goes back to a year and a half, this area as well as a pivot from a year and a half ago, and we kind of touched it. When was that? Yesterday we came up and we touched this area, and we've also got this area which 45.79, which is an area tops of candles and bottoms of candles, and I think if you go back a year and a half, it was an area similar where we've got a pivot as well. Hence why I've got this yellow dash line that shows me the best area within this zone I want to take a trade. This weekly area is based on a pivot from a year and a half ago as well on the weekly chart, and that's in red just so I know it's a weekly level. My yellow levels, dotted levels, these are my hourly levels, and then I also have a major weekly level, which are these pink coloured ones, and these are my major hourly levels. Actually not weekly, I suppose they are the same on the weekly. So this level here is an area I'll be watching for. It's an area of demand as well, and it's an area of demand going back a year and a half ago, because we're so extended and we've not been to these levels now for a year and a half. So all my levels are coming out. This is the weekly chart. All my levels are coming from looking at the weekly chart and working out where the best places are. As you can see, most of these levels all line up, so I've got the weekly levels already in place as well. Bit messy with the line. I'm going to tidy up the charts a bit. I'm going to make the lines only show up because I've got hourly lines, weekly lines and daily lines on there, so it looks a bit messy. So that's where I get my levels from. That's where I've been getting my levels from recently. We are currently just here. So this is where we are right now. And if I zoom out a bit more, so I wonder if I can hide the drawings. So no, I'll look for later, but I've been using the ES chart because I haven't got anything on drawings. But if you go back a week, if you go back a year and a half on this weekly, this is kind of where we've got to, hence why I've got some levels around this area, and I've got some bottoms of weekly candles as well, so it's quite significant, and tops of candles. So we've got bottom, bottom, top of a body, bottom, bottom of a body, bottom of a candle. These topping tails, these topping tails here. So it's quite a significant area, hence why it was in my plan or in my charts just to remind me. So going back onto the hourly, in fact we're going to the 5-minute chart now. We had this, you can see this weekly area here, so it came into that today, and so I will discuss that trade, but I will start off with my first pre-market trade, where we were looking at this. So I was watching this uptrend, and so I saw it coming into this big demand area. It was a demand zone before. We broke down a few days ago, and now it's resistance. It's now my supply zone. So I changed the color just to remind me that we're obviously looking to it as a sub area of resistance. So this is my preferred area I wanted to get in on a trade. So in the pre-market, I was watching the edge of this zone, because what I'd like to do normally is to layer in. So I want to get in a couple of contracts there, a couple of contracts there, but because it's pre-market, I only play a small contract size, so half the normal size. So instead of getting in 2 contracts in, I got in with 2 layers with 1 contract each. So I got in on the edge of that zone, and I got in just there, and probably would have taken another one there had it got that high. So I was in with 2 contracts, 2 MES contracts just there. So not a great deal, but it's post-market, so pre-market I meant, so it's a bit slower, and I don't want to trade the full sizes. And so I was watching volume, and you can't really see because we've got the bigger volume from the opening. Here we go, that's better. So this is what I got in. I got in on the break of that up here, and I actually got in just there as well, and it came back down. In fact, my average price was about here, so never really much. I was never negative on this trade really, apart from a few times it just pipped over. And what I was watching was the volume. So when we were pushing up, I noticed we had starting to get below average volume, and it was just tailing off. It looked like it's gonna turn around. And then when I saw this big volume candle for this candle here, then I knew that that might have been ending volume, and it's coming into a level I've been watching as well. So that's why I got in there, and I got in there. So I was happy with that. And then we saw this red candle. It was a low volume. Look at this. So we had a bit of a test here. So the insiders or the smart money wanted to see whether we still had any buyers left in the market, and you can tell because it's a low volume candle, and it pushed right down, and then there's no buyers really pushing it back up. So that's normally an indication, low volume, normally an indication that we were going to probably just go sideways for a bit or reverse down. So I kept an eye on it, and I saw we were declining volume. Obviously the volume looked a bit better when I was watching it because we didn't have the previous volume what we're looking at. Here we go, that's a bit easier to see. So again, using volume to get into an area, that's normally gives me confidence to get in high volume, ending volume. And then we had just below average volume until we hit this candle here. And when we hit that candle, and I saw higher volume, and we kind of ended up closing down here, I knew that we were going to pull back. I moved my stop to there, and I don't think I didn't stop out once because we pulled back to this zone. So this is an area drawn in several weeks ago, and we pulled right back down. And my out, again I used volume to get out, and my out was exactly here. So I got out there on the first one, and that's because I saw this increase in volume, and then I saw this small one. I think my next out was about there. So it was a good trade, pre-market, like a small trade as well, so it wasn't risking much, but it's more just to be in the trade at levels I predetermined. And then my next trade, I was watching the same zone, and so I did try a short here, and I don't know why I did that. I just looked like we wanted to pull back. The volume kind of tailed off a bit as well, so it was a bad trade, and I stopped myself out there. And so I was keeping an eye. I saw it break out of this zone, and I knew my next level was this weekly and this hourly. And the weekly obviously is quite a powerful level, so I laid in there. I think I took another one there. I was in full size at this point as well. I oversized a little tiny bit as well, so, and because I'm confident the weekly was going to push it back down because it's my weekly level, my average price was probably there. It was 45.9. It wasn't 45.90. It's just below 45.90. It was the tops of, basically it was there. So it was a nice start of the day, and again I was never in a negative on this trade, and I saw it pull back a bit and I held through. I was going to stop out at the high of the day, but the market made sure I didn't. It pulled right down, so I took profits at the 50 in the VWAP, and then it pushed back down again, and I took profits at the 200, and then I took profits at my previous level, which was on watch as well. In fact, I was down to 2 contracts and I reversed at this point. Might have been, no, it was 1 contract I'd left out, and my average price was up here, and I was going to hold on to it, but in the end I saw this high volume bar come in, and I saw decreasing volume as well, so it looked like this play was getting weaker and weaker. And as you can see, we had a big candle, smaller candle, and then a really big candle, and that was this big reversal candle. So that was a sign I wanted to get out. So as I saw volume pushing up, I actually reversed right on my level, because that was a level I was watching for a bounce anyway. Again, my trading day was over by this point, but my trading day was over by 9:30, because I was up quite well. 9:30 came along, and all I had to do was keep the runner and run it down, and that's all I did today. And my runner was 1 contract left by the time I got here, and so I reversed long, and on this one I got out up here, and then I took 1 more trade. I was probably over trading this point, but again only 1 contract, because I didn't want to risk any more. I've done trading just to be in a participant, and I went short, and I ran it down. It got to my level, and this is the silly thing, I should have got out. You know, volume was increasing, price was coming down. It looked like it was being strong. I was expecting it to run down even further, and it went against me, and my out should have been the break of the 5, but in the end I got out on the VWAP, and glad I did. There's a little tiny bit of profit on that trade. So other than this silly trade I made here, which was for a small loss, all my other trades were all profitable and were perfect. This was my best trade of the day. It's a beautiful trade down, and like I said, it was done by 9:30. By the time we opened, I'd already got out of most of my position. All I had is my runner left, and so the day ended very, very well. And then let's have a look at the rest of the day. I didn't take any more trades, and as you can see, it was a sideways day, and then we had this last push down at the end of the day. I was thinking of taking a short here at 3 o'clock, only because it pulled back into my level. You know, I trust my levels a lot, but it already touched levels here. It broke through it there, but it did prove to be an area of significance, because you know, when we pushed through, it bounced there, then it came back, and it came back and retested that level, and then we tested it again there, came back down through, retested it again. So it is a significant level. 45.79, 45.80 area is a significant level. What's that pivot there? 49.80. Look at that. 45.80 right on the dot. So it's an area I'll still continue to keep an eye on, and that's why I wanted to go short. And I was going to go short on the break of that box of this demand zone, of this supply zone, but I didn't in the end. I thought I didn't need to be in the trades, over trading. I'm going short, and I'm above the moving averages as well, and probably the trade should have been the break of that area there if I were to take it, but I didn't. And here we go. It came down, it had a bit of time to think, and it broke down through. Did it made a new low of the day as well? Yeah, so it actually made a new low, and that was in the 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock. I think it's in the post market. It made a new low. So on Monday, I think we should be watching out. Here's the theory I've got, and I need to back test this as well. And I've gone through a few. From what I've seen, on days where the market closes at a high of the day, normally the next day we see it run up. And on days when the market comes down and it closes on the low of the day, and it was at the low of the day, then the next day we see it run down. So possibly Monday, remember these words, hopefully I'm right, and it might be a good play for the future, but on Monday we may see it break down even further. So let's just see, let's go to the hourly, and I'll do it on the ES because it's a bit cleaner, this chart. So on the, let's go to the daily even. So we have got room down on Monday, down to this 8. So potentially we could see it break down, and if it breaks through the 8, we've got this the 20 moving average, and it's at this significant area here, which is my weekly. Remember the pink dotted line is my weekly area, and so we've got a pivot here and a pivot here, and we've got this nice area. So I expect, and we've got the 20 moving average. So possibly we could see it move down to this area, 4,500 area. So that's what we could be looking for during the week. Next week, maybe Monday, we might test the 8. We haven't actually broken yesterday's candle yet, so we are technically in an inside day still. So we haven't really gained or lost territory today. So let's look out for Monday, 4,500 next week, I reckon, and we may see it bounce back up to finish off that pivot from a year and a half ago, which I think is this level here. So in fact, let's just go back. So I think what we might see is come up to this area here, and then maybe see another bounce down. But let's see what the next few weeks brings. Anyway, hopefully you had a good day trading as well, and hopefully you have a nice, excellent weekend. Have a good day. Take it easy.